What's good, y'all? Rich Sosa back in a building with another banger. Now, first things first, before we go ahead and get started, I just want to say thank you, God, for another day and another opportunity. Now, as y'all can see from the looks of the title and the screen, today I'm going to be showing y'all how to create the first ever two-way sharpshooting creator build on NBA 2K23 Next Gen. Now, with this build, we're going to be able to get a 100 plus driving dunk, mid-range, three-point shot, free throw, ball handle, perimeter defense, and steal. So before we get any further into this build making, if it's your first time coming through, be sure to hit that sub button if you're new, turn on post notifications to be a part of the Rich family, and go ahead and be sure to smash that like button. Now, if you made it this far into the video, comment down TG for thank God, and I most definitely got y'all with the response. But man, let's go ahead and get started by putting this build under the small forward position. Now, when it comes down to left or right handed, I'm going to go with left. And for the jersey number, this really comes down to your own liking. I'm going to go with number 1. Now, once we get into the actual breakdown of the physicals, this is going to be one of the main key parts about this build. So if you want to be able to get pro contact dunks, pro dribble moves, and quick first step on Hall of Fame, go with the height of 6'8". Now when it comes down to the weight, I'm going to go with 181, but again, you can actually make this build at a higher weight, or if you want to go with the minimum, that's perfectly okay too. Now when it comes down to the wingspan, I'm going to go with 7 feet exactly, and this is going to set up perfectly in order to get a total of 73 badges. But when it comes down to the takeovers, this is going to be one of the biggest things of this build as well. So when it comes down to the body shape, you can pick any of these based to your own liking, but if you want to take up the most space, I would go with builds. Now from here, we're going to go ahead and get into the breakdown of the actual attributes. The first area that I'm going to focus on for this build is definitely going to be the physicals. So when it comes down to my speed, I'm going to go with an 83. As for the acceleration, this is really coming down to my personal preference, so I'm going to go with an 80. Now for the strength, I'm going to leave it as is. I'm not going to touch this area at all. Now when it comes down to the vertical, I'm going to go with the 75, and this right here is going to allow us to get the pro contact dunks. Then when it comes down to the stamina, the threshold that I use for every single build is going to be a 90. Now to get started in the next area, I'm going to go with the driving dunk, and right here, this is going to get brought up all the way to a 91. Now originally I did try making this build with a 92, but every time I did that, in order to get the elite contact dunks, the build name is going to change. Now when it comes down to the driving dunk and the driving layup, both of these can be based to your own liking. So pretty much I can go with the driving layup of 85 plus. Today I'm going to be going with the 79. Close shot, this is going to be a 67. And right here, we're going to be able to get a total of 15 badges. Now the standing dunk, I'm going to leave it at a 46, but overall, when it comes down to the badges we're able to work with, the main ones that I'm looking at out of tier 1 are going to be honestly Pro Touch as well as Giant Slayer. Now for tier 2, Fearless Finisher and Aerial Wizard are pretty solid as well. Now if you add on extra badges towards this build, you'll be able to get Limitless Takeoff and both Posterizer on Silver. Now I'm going to go ahead and leave this build as is for the finishing. Let's go ahead and move on to the shooting. So this next area, it really comes down to your own preference and how you want to go about it. For my mid-range shot, I'm going to bring this up to an 88. Now again, if you feel like going with a lower number is going to help you out with getting more badges in other areas, you can definitely do that, but I'm going to leave it right here. Now when it comes down to my three-pointer, I'm going to go with an 89, and this is going to allow us to get Agent 3s on gold. Now for my free throw, I want to be able to take this build into any game mode, so I'm going to go with an 82. We get 27 badges, and look, every single badge out of tier 1 is going to be on Hall of Fame. When it comes down to tier 2, we do get Agent 3 on gold. Green Machine, Corner Specialist, and Guard Up are going to be on Hall of Fame. And then when it comes down to tier 3, we get Gold Blinders, Catch and Shoot, Deadeye, and then also Silver Limitless Range. Now if you want to change any of the numbers, you can definitely do that, but again, you are risking changing up the build name. Now this is exactly what I'm going to leave the shooting as. Let's go ahead and get into the breakdown of the playmaking. So for my pass accuracy, I'm going to bring this all the way up to a 74. Now this is going to be key. You definitely want to keep that pass accuracy above a 70. Now for the ball handle, in order to get quick first step on Hall of Fame, I'm going to go with the 89. 69, and this is going to be maxed out. When it comes down to the steel, I'm going to bring this up to a 77, and right there, we get a total of 21 badges. Now, as you can see, the main badge that I'm looking at when it comes down to tier 1 is going to be Hall of Fame Ankle Breaker. Now, we also do get Gold Hyperdrive. Then when it comes down to tier 2, the main badge we needed to unlock was going to be Quick First Step. Now, when it comes down to tier 3, you have everything that you need: killer combos, unpluckable, clamp breaker, as well as handles for days. Now, this is pretty much what the playmaking is going to be looking like. Let's go ahead and get into the perimeter defense. So you can go about this to your own preference, but I'm going to bring this up to an 87. When it comes down to my steal, I'm going to go with an 82, and if you want to take the risk of trying to get extra badges and trying to get higher tiers of badges as well, you can try to go ahead and get glove on silver, but what you need to do is get at least an 85 steal. Now overall, you can throw the rest of the attributes into any other area of this build, but as you can see with the defensive end, we get ankle braces on Hall of Fame, and then when it comes down to tier 2, we also get glove on bronze, and a total of 10 badges is definitely going to help this build out. Now again, for the rest of the attributes, I'm going to go ahead and put this into my free throw, and this is going to be exactly what the build is going to be looking like. We get 15 badges for the finishing, 27 for the shooting, 21 when it comes down to the playmaking, and 10 defensive, giving us a total of 73 badges. Now again, look, if you make any changes and adjustments towards this build, you may change the build name up, or you may create something completely different. I'm going to leave it like this just so I make sure that I get the build name. Now with these takeovers, look, we get the slashing, also get the shot creating, sharpshooting, and then the lockdown defender. So with all these takeovers, if you buy your own boost, you'll be able to get a 100 plus driving dunk. Now if you buy boost for your mid-range and 3-pointer, as well as pick the takeover of the sharpshooting, you'll be able to get a 100 plus for these two areas as well as your free throw. Now if you buy boost alone and run with teammates that do have on floor general, your ball handle is going to get brought up to 100 plus, and then the same thing can be said when it comes down to your steal and perimeter defense. Now overall, the best two takeovers in what I think is going to make this build complete. First, I'm going to go with the lockdown, and that one for me is going to be extreme clamps. The second one, you can go with finishing moves, or if you want to break ankles and have a little bit more fun, I would go with ankle breaking shots. Now these two takeovers are the ones that I'm going to start with. Now again, remember, if you feel like you would go about the making of this build completely different from how I'm bringing it to y'all, base it off of your own preference, but do it after we create the build together. And as y'all can see, we have created the first ever two-way sharpshooting creator build. Now this build really reminds me of Jason Tatum, especially with their attributes, but honestly also with the animations that we're able to unlock. Now from here, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up and check out what this build is going to be doing when it comes out to maxing out the badges completely. So first, I'm going to go ahead and get after the finishing. So we have a lot of different badges to work with. I'm going to go with Pro Touch on Hall of Fame for my first badge. The second one out of tier 2, I like to run Fearless Finisher. Now we have 7 more remaining badges. So another one that I think is going to be super useful, Back Down Punisher, and then you can also go with Giant Slayer. Now for the final 3, if you want to, I think Aerial Wizard is going to be perfect. That way you're able to catch some alley-oops. I'm going to leave it like this, and then for my core badge, you can go with Posterizer on bronze, but remember, if you do decide to add on extra badges towards this build, we're going to be able to get Limitless Takeoff as well as Posterizer both equipped at the same time. Now from here, let's go ahead and get into the breakdown of the shooting. So we have 27 badges to work with. The first one that I'm going to go with is going to be Amped on Hall of Fame. Another one that I like, Space Creator, as well as Volume Shooter. Then you cannot forget about MIDI Magician. Now for tier 2, I'm going to go with Agent 3 on gold. Green Machine, the same exact thing. And then when it comes down to my tier 3, I'm going to go ahead and core Silver Limitless Range, and we're left with one more remaining badge. So I'm going to go ahead and put on Bronze Slippery Off Ball, and this is going to be a perfect setup for my shooting. Now let's go ahead and get into the breakdown of the playmaking. For tier 1, the main badge that I'm recommending to everybody, Ankle Breaker on Hall of Fame. Now from here, I'm also going with Gold Hyperdrive. Tier 2, I'm going to go with Quick First Step on Hall of Fame. That's the main reason why we created this build. And then when it comes down to tier 3, you can core any of the 4 badges right here. For my liking, I'm going to go with Unpluckable on gold. Go ahead and throw on your extra attributes towards Handles for Days on silver. And then for the remaining 2, you can go about this to your own liking. For me, I'm going to go with Break Starter on silver. Now let's go ahead and get into the actual breakdown of these defensive badges. So we have 10 badges to work with. I'm going to go with Boxed Out Beast on bronze. From there, Menace on Hall of Fame is going to be a huge problem for this build. And then to wrap it up, you have to go ahead and put on Bronze Glove. Now, if you did decide to go with the 85 plus steel version of this build, you'll be able to get Glove on silver. But for now, I'm going to leave it like this. Now for my final tier 1 badge, I'm going to go with ankle braces on silver. And this is pretty much what we're going to be working with. So as you can see, we have everything that we need when it comes down to my finishing badges. Same thing can be said, and more so importantly when it comes down to tier 1 for the shooting. Then when it comes down to the playmaking, we get quick first step on Hall of Fame like we wanted. And then when it comes down to the defense, Glove is going to be super important. But the fact that we do still maintain a high perimeter defense as steel is going to make this build all the better. Now, if you made it this far into the video, be sure to comment down TG for thank God, and I most definitely got y'all with a response. But if you want to go ahead and make any changes to this build, let me know as well what you're going to be changing. But if it was your first time coming through, be sure to hit that sub button if you're new. Turn on post notifications to be a part of the Rich family. And don't forget to smash that like button. Now, I would appreciate it if everybody commented down, where are you tuning in from watching today? But again, man, thank you, God, for another day and another opportunity. God bless y'all, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. And with all that being said, I got one last thing to say. Rich out.